Okay guys, I have so neglected this channel. I haven't posted anything on my tech channel in a while, so I just had to force myself to make a video. I keep starting videos about parallel charging or setting up certain functions in Betaflight, and it's just too big of a topic, and then I get distracted by actual work or by vlogs I get excited about, and I just haven't posted anything helpful on this channel in a little bit, so I wanted to force myself to do something. And I just saw a post in the Rotor Riot community Facebook group where someone was asking what is the right way to assign your switches, functions on your transmitter, what switch should do what. And I don't think I've ever seen a video like that. I'm sure someone's covered it at some point, but I haven't seen one. And the truth is there really isn't a right or wrong way. But for new people coming into the hobby, maybe they just kind of want to know what other people are doing, because they have this starting point. Because on a lot of these transmitters that are made for airplanes where there's more functions, there's way more switches than we need. So there's a lot of options, and it's nice to have those options. Just depending on where you prefer to assign things, you've got options. So again, no right or wrong way to do it. I just want to make a quick video as to how I assign my switch functions, why I assign them, just because maybe you'll find it interesting, or maybe if you're setting up a transmitter for the first time, it can give you some stuff to think about. Not necessarily saying you have to do exactly what I do. Do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong thing. So what I try to keep in mind most is which switches do I need to use often and need to be able to flip quickly, and which switches I use a little less frequently and don't require as immediate action. So what I mean is these switches along the top, when I'm holding my radio and controlling the quad with my thumbs, I can flip most of these switches with my pointer fingers or maybe even my middle fingers without having to take my thumbs off the sticks. Whereas these switches, I guess you could kind of pull up like that. To move a switch like that, it just doesn't feel as natural to hit it with the top of my fingernail, whereas something like this, I feel very comfortable hitting it with either side of my finger. So what I'm going to do one of the, I hate that. So what I'm going to do one of these switches is more something that I could actually reach up and hit it like that, take my time hitting it. So let's go through the basic functions. The first one being arming. I use this switch as my arm switch. The reason I use this switch as my arm switch, this back switch here, is because this is what the default throttle cut switch is for Spektrum or Horizon Hobby collective pitch helicopters. So when I was flying some ready to fly quads, this is where the switch is, and this is where I got used to hitting throttle cut. So if you are in an emergency situation, this is the switch that you would flip, and it is typical, I believe, for collective pitch helicopters for the throttle cut position to be toward you, which is a little backwards because something fundamental is you always want to start with all your switches away. So when you pull your transmitter out of your bag, the first thing you should do before powering it on is just move all the switches away from you. And then that should be kind of the easiest mode, or the disarmed position, or no beepers beeping, kind of the default position, and then everything should be from there. So I do have this switch backwards, and I would say maybe that's not the best thing to do, but it's just what I'm used to, because with a collective pitch helicopter, you don't arm it with, it's not the same, right? So you'd have a flight mode where you add throttle, get the rotor spinning, then you would hit an idle up, and then this just is a throttle cut, not necessarily an arm. But that's I guess what I'm getting at is this is because of my background. That's why that switch is there. What I would really recommend doing for arming is putting the arming switch on a 3-position switch and putting arm in the center. So what I'd really like to do is this 3-position switch here as opposed to this 2-position switch. I'd want to put arming on the center. So that way, if I'm in an emergency situation and need to disarm, it doesn't matter if I flip it down, it doesn't matter if I flip it up, as long as it's not in the center position, it disarms. So that seems to be the safest thing to do, and at some point maybe I'll force myself to make that transition. But for now, this is my arming switch. And when I'm flying, it's not necessarily something I can get to that easily. I mean, I guess I could hit it with my middle finger or my ring finger, but it's become such muscle memory that if I need to reach down and clip it, I can do it so fast. And that's kind of my hesitation in changing the switch, is that I am so fast at doing that without even thinking about it in those situations where I do need to disarm that I almost don't want to change it. So, all right, enough time about my arming switch. The next function, let's talk about my mode switch. So I do use different flight modes in my, going back on the arming, even though I know it's technically unwise to have my arm position in the default switch position, I do trust that the modern firmwares, when you plug in your quad, even if the switch is in the armed position, it's not going to arm your quad. That being said, I've heard of weird things happening, so I would recommend against what I do, but yeah, I mean, modern firmwares, if you're in the armed position and you plug in your quad, it's not going to arm. You're going to first have to disarm, then rearm it. So anyways, okay, now actually moving on to the mode switch. This is the mode switch. I don't know why I chose this switch. I guess I don't like that one again because I don't want to hit it with the top of my fingernail. And this is only a 2 position, and I like having 3 positions. I like having 3 positions because all the way away, default position, that would be auto level. Even though I never fly in auto level, I do keep an auto level mode available just for certain situations. I've talked about it before. I don't fly in it, but I like to have it available. Middle position would be a standard rate mode, so no auto leveling, but not necessarily air mode. And then this upper position is both air mode and idle up. I do use both air mode and idle up. And motor stop is disabled. I have videos about that on this channel, so check for that if you're confused as to what I'm talking about. And I like having 2 separate positions for air mode versus rate mode for reasons that I also talk about in those videos, just to be able to soften up the I term and reduce my idle in case I want to do contact tricks like wall bonks or skids or things like that. So if I'm going to do a skid, I can flip it into rate mode, do my skid, and then flip it back up into air mode for flying. Moving on, I use now these 2 tall switches for kind of auxiliary functions. So I use these switches for things that I don't actuate while I'm flying. So this is my crash switch. So after I've disarmed, I've crashed, this is what I'm going to hit. So default position is all the way away and nothing is going on here. The middle position sets off the beeper, and then all the way toward me is for turtle mode. So if I crash and it's in walking distance, I just go middle position, I can find it. If I can't find it, or if maybe I want to, I guess not necessarily if I can't find it, but if I want to try and fly it back to me, I'll just go all the way toward me, rearm, do the turtle mode thing, disarm, normal, rearm. Yeah, so this is kind of the switch dedicated to things after I've crashed. Either need to find the quad with the beeper or do turtle mode. This switch over here, I use to control my video transmitter. It doesn't really need to be a 3-position switch because all I have it do is turn on and off my video transmitter. So all the way toward me would put my video transmitter in pit mode, and any the middle or the upper position will turn my video transmitter back on. That's a really useful thing that they have in Betaflight that I like to use, because if I'm flying with multiple people, I'll come in for a landing, disarm, flip that, turns off my video transmitter, and then I'm guaranteed not to be interfering with anyone else that I'm flying nearby. You know, similarly, if I'm getting ready to take off, right, I can plug in with the pit mode switch engaged, do my things, and then when I'm ready to take off, not interfering with anyone else, and then when I'm ready to take off, flip on that video transmitter, quickly arm, take off, do the stuff. So those are really the only 4 switches I use. Flight mode, arming, crash functions, and video transmitter. I guess if I have my transmitter on, I do use this switch for something very important.
Dang, buddy, look at them switches.
So I can be like Stinger Swarm. That's pretty much it. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all personal preference. I just wanted to walk you through the things I think about when I was choosing my my switch positions. These knobs and sliders on the back, no real use for them. I used to use these things maybe for like PID tuning on different firmwares that you could tune a certain variable at a time, but I don't really mess with that. Momentary switches are nice. You can use that to reset your timer, or maybe there's a function that you want to, I don't know, flash your lights, or I don't know. But yeah, 12 channels and a bunch of switches, it's overkill, but I like having the options. So I have thought about maybe removing these switches, but you never know when you might use them. And for other aircrafts I fly, I might have use for them. So if I'm flying a fixed wing where expo and rates are handled in the transmitter, this is the switch that I tend to use for that. So I'd use a high rate or low rate mode if I'm flying fixed wing. Might use this for flaps or something. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so that's it, guys. Super simple video that I just wanted to bang out and get uploaded to this channel so that I can start force myself to put more tech content on this channel. So anything that you're curious about or that you would like me to cover, leave it in the comment, and maybe I'll cover it within the year. I don't know. I do want to be more active here, but things are busy. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you found this interesting. And yeah, stay tuned to my main channel, my vlog channel, if you like coming along on adventures, because I'm definitely more active on that channel, and those are kind of the videos I enjoy making more. See ya.